gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for February 22nd, 2024. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth reviews are in, and we got a bunch of other smaller stories. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
I am alive. I am at a functional 65%. We're here, Grubb.
Yeah.
The fever is broken. The fever dreams are gone.
You don't want much more than 65%. That's the butter zone. That's where things are going to be good. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the unfortunate reality, Grubb, us at half capacity is more than some people at full capacity.
That's right. Like, seriously, we're going to put all these other video game sites to shame, just like we always do, just by showing up and looking pretty. And they can't even do that. They don't even have that. So at least we have that going for us.
Could they reach out to their boss and ask, hey, could we make a shirt that says prettiest website in games media and have it up a day later?
Because we just did that. It's going to happen.
Exactly. Store at giantbomb.com.
If people can't tell, I got a little sick. I got a little sick too.
I'm sorry. I passed it to Grubb.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, Jan. How dare you? Can't believe you would do this to me. I am mostly just like I feel a little bit of pressure in my ears, and then there's like a little bit of a cough. It's not that bad. Like, I feel fine. Like, I'm doing the show. I feel about how I normally feel doing this show. Just my voice sounds like this now, and I just got to kind of power through it a little bit, which I'm sure is a healthy thing to do.
I just want to lower my register also.
Yeah, let's get down there. We'll talk about the butter zone.
All right.
Yeah.
Butter zone.
Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Oh, man, could barely get that out. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth reviews. Starting with Twinfinite, who Keenan McCall over there gave it a 5 out of 5. Says Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, for all intents and purposes, a phenomenal second act in the remake series. This game has a 93 on Metacritic the last time I looked, Jan. Have you been playing it?
Bitch. Hold on. Sorry. Let me just turn the camera back on and off. I haven't podcasted in a couple days. Yes, Grubb, I've been playing it. Unfortunately, because of the sickness and other video games, haven't dived in as much time as I would like to.
Yep, same.
Probably, maybe, and it seems insane to say I've only played 20 hours of a game, but for a JRPG, especially of this scale, it's not enough. But let me tell you, Grubb, it checks off all of my boxes, and I really thought that Infinite Wealth was an easy lock for number one
for the GOTY
this year. For GOTY, Jesus Christ, Cloud and the crew.
Cloud came through, I guess. Mike Minotti over at GamesBeat agrees with you. He gave it a 5 out of 5, says, we haven't had a Final Fantasy like this since the PlayStation 2 days. This is a real adventure filled with a whole world to explore. The kind of Final Fantasy experience I never thought I'd see in a modern AAA game without a bevy of compromises. Rebirth doesn't have any compromises, or at least they're so tiny that I didn't notice or care. And even if I did have small gripes, an all-time great soundtrack easily washes away minor sins. He spent 70 hours in the game. He just beat it last night after staying up very late multiple nights in a row.
Do you know if Mike mainlined through it, or did he skip?
Not. He spent a lot of time doing side stuff. And then he started mainlining it in like the last 10 hours is how I think he explained it to me. So
yeah, for folks at home, and this isn't spoil, I don't want to spoil too much. There is a good amount of side stuff to occupy an obscene amount of time. And some of them are great. Some of them are, but Jesus Christ, it was such a hard decision to like skip past all of these quest markers to just try and mainline the game. But even then, I'm enjoying all of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've heard. Like, I've talked to a bunch of people about this game now. People are like, no, I was doing all the side quests, and that was great. Then I decided to start mainlining it, and that was great. And then I spent 4 hours doing, what was it, Queen's Gambit, Queen's Quest?
Queen's Blood.
Queen's Blood,
Yeah.
with the mini game, and they're like, and that was great. So it just sounds like they really gave love to every aspect of this game, and that's coming through and how much people are enjoying it. The gamer, Cat Boosel, over there, gave it a 4.5 out of 5, says, part of me wanted Rebirth to capture fleeting moments of my upbringing, but I much prefer how this story and the people behind it have grown alongside me, perceiving an opportunity to present this epic in a different light that can only be achieved with the benefit of hindsight. I have no idea where it goes now, and that just might be its greatest achievement. Wesley LeBlanc over at Game Informer gave it an 8.5 out of 10, says the sequel went wide. And while that comes with benefits, like new ways to explore this beloved world and its various sites, it also comes with drawbacks. They aren't unlike anything fans of the genre have experienced before, and playing as cherished characters certainly eases the pain, but the tedium and bloat of the open world checklist can sometimes get in the way of where Rebirth truly shines. The best of Remake exists in Rebirth, but the various open world areas surrounding it, the parts that make Rebirth unique from its predecessor, sometimes miss the mark. And then GameSpot's Timur Hussein gave it an 8 out of 10, says, thankfully what Final Fantasy Rebirth succeeds at eclipses what it fumbles. It's a superbly designed gameplay experience that instills a sense of freedom while also making exploration rewarding in a meaningful way. Refined gameplay that makes character synergy a focal point breathes new life into the slick and satisfying combat, and all the while, it reinforces the underlying themes of the story. As a game that has the unenviable task of living up to one of the strongest legacies in the medium, it is a worthy second chapter. Whether Square Enix can bring it all together in the third and final part will be the subject of much discussion from here on out. Just like Destiny's Crossroads, an unknown future beckons once again, and anything is still possible. We can say now, finally, that the Bombcast Revengeance episode today will be a review episode of this. We'll have a bunch of people there who have played a lot of this game, many people who have finished this game. Tam will come there and give his full thoughts. I think if you are wondering why he gives... Jan, are you frozen? Huh. You ever notice how Jan's frozen? That's weird. Let's give F's for Jan. I'll let Tam speak for himself, but I know he was really, really liking it, and then there was some off-the-rail stuff at the end. So we will kind of get his full thoughts, as well as everyone's full thoughts, because I think what you're going to hear is, this is a great game, where it's like, by the end, you're going to be like, a lot of that was amazing, and I have a few gripes here or there, and that's about as far as it goes. Jan's power went out. His power went out. Okay. All right, fantastic. Sean, if you're there, if you want to pop in and help us until he pops back, I wouldn't hate that. I was going to have you on the show anyhow before I found out that Jam was doing okay. There he is, Sean Turbo Sean McDowell, everybody.
Hello, yes, filling in. You're not gonna get me on camera because I wasn't planning on being on this.
That's fine. I understand. You didn't pit on your face. I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of bedhead, right? I kind of look like Cloud a little bit actually, but y'all ain't gonna get to see that. That's for the only Jans.
Oh, Jesus. All right then. Listen, I don't have that kind of money. Sean, you've been playing this. How are you finding it?
I will say Tam's review almost like perfectly echoes how I feel about the game. We were comparing notes a little bit coming into the review period here, and we feel the same way. A lot of stuff. As a video game, Rebirth is perfect to me. It is literally exactly what I wanted out of this entry, but the story stuff falls apart in certain places, and we're gonna get Jan back here, thank God.
There we go.
But yeah, just to summarize, some of the remake trilogy specific stuff, I think they dropped the ball with, and that's what I was a little disappointed by. I know that's what Tam was a little disappointed by, and I think definitely want people to experience that for themselves. But it's almost just like a sour note on what's otherwise legitimately one of my favorite games that I've played in a decade, at least.
You are on Bombcast Revengeance today talking about this, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I finished the game. I'll be talking about their game, my full-ish thoughts.
Yes, then just two, at least one quick question before I let you go, and then we'll have the full conversation there. Sure. Do you think that there is a chance that you get to the third game and it recontextualizes the things you feel a little bit sour now, and it can kind of rescue them, or is it something where it's like, well, no, that was the experience I had with the second game, and now that's forever how I will feel?
Nope. This is what it is. The things that does that I do not like are not going. They're not the types of things that can change. It's just, oh, they did that, and I don't think that's good.
Okay,
I was
fair.
going through my Twitter feed this morning. I saw a lot of other reviewers saying the same thing of, "Hey, this is incredible, but why the hell did you do that?" And
Mhm.
we're all talking in code here, but I know exactly what they're talking about, and a lot of us just do not like it.
Yeah, I remember what the second question was. Even with those gripes in mind, do you recommend most people play this game?
Yes, overwhelmingly, yes. Dan Reichert loves this game. That says a lot here because I think
Agree.
getting him to enjoy a game like this is a sign of how much fun it is, how goofy it is, how lovable the characters are, how it just brings the world of Final Fantasy. I'm going to talk about this a little. I'm going to give a Jan spiel a little bit on Revenge that I'm
Please.
playing on. But Remake is one of my favorite games of all time because it realized the world of Final Fantasy VII as I had it in my head as a kid. This does that for the second part of
Wow.
the
Okay.
story that they are telling, and it does it flawlessly. I was blown away with how well they realized so many different things. Like you step into the gold saucer for the first time, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They translated the wonder of seeing that on a PS1 with like the FMVs and everything to something that is just it blew my freaking mind. And like me and Mike were talking about a little bit when reviewing notes. And Grubb, I think you were there for a lot of those conversations. I would repeatedly just say,
Yep.
yeah, that was last night I experienced one of the greatest things I've ever seen in a video game.
Yep, you guys were talking about it glowingly for several days in a row when you would have these conversations, and it was like getting me very excited. And I'm like, I'm going to be spending this next week actually playing it. So I haven't really touched it at all yet. So very excited. But Bombcast Revengeance will be today at 1 p.m. Eastern. Everybody, that's 10 a.m. Pacific. Sean will be there. Tam will be there. Lucy should be there. Emma will be there, a huge Final Fantasy fan, as well as Mike Minotti. So tune in for that. They're going to have a great conversation. Either Jan, either me or you will be there to help facilitate and host that, depending on how we're feeling. So tune in for that. Don't miss it, everybody. Okay, let's move ahead here. Pacific Drive review roundup from Emily Spindler at Kotaku. Emily puts together some of the reviews, starting with Eurogamer's Chris Tapsell, who scored it a 4 out of 5 stars, saying, a punishing, exasperating slog of an offbeat love story between driver and car, human in the zone. Pacific Drive is both and then some. Destructoid gave Pacific Drive a 6.5 out of 10, saying, slightly above average or simply inoffensive. Fans of the genre should enjoy them a bit, but a fair few will be left unfulfilled. Push Square scored the game an 8 out of 10 and said Pacific Drive is an ambitious and rewarding debut from Ironwood Studios. It's an unusual combination of factors that all coalesce: roguelike exploration, deep and challenging survival mechanics, an interesting narrative to follow, and a central vehicle that brings everything together. The gamer gave it a 4 out of 5. PC Gamer gave it an 86 out of 100. Yeah, this is like a pretty good place for this game to land, I think, where it's like there is a lot to like here. I'm just like kind of worried that it's going to get lost in the shuffle for me personally because there's so much to play right now.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the worries with a game like Pacific Drive, where it seems like there is a little bit of a learning curve to figure out what the loop is and specifically what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I got stuck in a garage.
We did get stuck in a garage. We're very, very stupid, Jan. Yes.
But we're very, very handsome at the same time.
It makes up for it.
It makes up for it. And I really dig the look of Pacific Drive and all of the intrigue that it presents. I'm hoping that the audience that would get attracted to Pacific Drive is different enough from that of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Persona 3 Reload.
I mean,
or like a Dragon Infinite
Helldivers 2. It's just I do look at it and there's just so much happening right now. There are so many games to choose from. I mean, Penny's Big Breakaway just came out for me. I want to finish Arzette. That Children of the Sun's coming out not too long ago. I could spend every waking minute playing Balatro still. Expeditions Mudrunner's coming out soon. I haven't finished Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Jan, there's a lot of video games, and that's like half of them that I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. I still haven't finished Prince of Persia. Grubb, you know why? Part of the reason why I didn't put as much time into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as I wanted to?
No, tell me. Wait, no. Jan, were you playing Suicide Squad?
No. We're not going to go that far. Grubb, I blame you for this.
Oh, no.
I wound up downloading and completing RZ.
Yeah, right.
The
Oh, you
last,
played through the whole
whatever it's
thing?
called.
That seems like a good game to play when you have a fever. That seems like a good time.
No, the worst part is I played it pre-fever.
Oh, okay. So you couldn't tell if you were getting sick or if you were just in an set fever.
Exactly. And let me tell y'all at home, art.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I at least got to play till I see the character that is voiced by friend of the show, MVG. I want to get there, but every character was so good. I'm very excited to hear that you played through the whole thing. I think I might finish it on the website, everybody. So look out for that.
I didn't quite enjoy playing it.
Sure,
but I was
not the point.
Motivated to play through it just to see more of the freaks.
The freaks freaks of the year. Absolutely. I think. Okay, Google, remind me about freaks of the year in December. All right. There we go. That's work right there. That's giant bomb at work, everybody.
You're welcome at home.
Pacific Drive, though, it looks interesting and different. And at the very least, I think it could stand out because all those games I listed, there's nothing like this. And that's I think that's going to be working in its favor. And I hope that it's able to find an audience out there.
And at least everything in the horizon, I don't see anything occupying the same space, specifically car games. Think about all the car freaks, Grubb, that are laying in wake, waiting to be put into drive.
Now they finally can shift into gear and get their asses down that road of video gaming. All right, moving ahead here. Nintendo stock dropped significantly after Switch 2 reportedly delayed to 2025. This is from Stephen T. Wright at GameSpot. Rumors have swirled about Nintendo's next console for years, but some are more consequential than others. Recently, the company's stock dropped as much as 8.8% after a report that the company has pushed back the launch of its Switch successor to 2025. This is something that's been kind of like, this has been happening for the last few days, but people have been commenting and asking me on some other shows about, will the big drop in the stock price force Nintendo to make some shifts? And, the real answer is we don't know. But guessing from the outside, looking at the way Nintendo behaves, typically they are one of the very few companies in the world that seems to not really care about their investors' concerns all that much. Or when their investors get all antsy in the pantsy, Nintendo's usually like, STFU, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're Nintendo, and you bought our stock, man. We didn't ask you to buy the stock. You came in here, you gave us money for stock. You're going to have to accept what that means, and that means we're going to keep Nintendoing. And I think that they are in such a position of strength coming off the Switch that they will be able to wield that pretty effectively. And they'll be able to say, hey, yeah, sure. It's not coming out this year, and this year will be a little bit down, but we fully expect things to bounce back next year. The troublesome thing for Nintendo, Jan, is last year was very good for them. Not just with the video games. The movie made a lot of money. The park partnership, I'm sure, is bringing in a significant amount of licensing revenue. And now when you go compare year to year, there isn't going to be a Super Mario Brothers movie this year, and there isn't going to be a Tears of the Kingdom. And so those comparisons are going to begin looking pretty rough to the point where it's not like that stuff isn't baked into the price right now. That 8.8% drop is not representing those things that are still yet to come, those comparisons and those financial reports. So it could drop even more. But I think Nintendo is just not going to panic. And I think that their investors will sense that. And most of them will begin to be like, we're not going to panic. And then those that do could just sell and abandon ship. But do you think that Nintendo's going to feel any heat about pushing off the Switch? Or they're like, no, we're just going to wait till the games are ready?
I don't mean to make a broad assumption, Grubb, but I think a good bunch of stockholders may be dumb as dirt.
You are very correct.
Because if you were specifically buying stock, buying shares in a company specifically like Nintendo, you just have to, Joel Embiid, trust the process.
Trust the process, yeah.
And just understand that Nintendo does not operate on the same wavelength or same schedule as their two primary competitors, right? They have proven to be in their own lane. They've carved out their own lane for however long now. That, yes, there will be missteps. Sure, this is going to be a quieter year. But I think we've said that over multiple times over the Switch's lifespan, and it has proven to bounce back hard in a major way that I can 100% see the Nintendo Switch making its victory lap to get to 2025 whenever the Switch 2 is supposed to come out. Grubb, all they got to do, they got to flip the Metroid Prime 4 Switch.
Yeah, I think it's still on the table, and I know a lot of people don't think it is. And for me, like, the honest reality is I'm 50-50 on it. But 50-50, it means, like, there's a decent chance it still comes out this year for the Switch 1. You know, people have been taking what I said on one show when I'm, like, talking to Mike about our little bet about, like, oh, will Metroid Prime 4 be a primarily Switch 1 or Switch 2 game? And that's, you know, the loser has to take the other one to Margaritaville. That's the stakes we're talking about, and we're just like we're poking one another about it. And I'm like, hey, I'm a little bit more confident about it because this one good source has proven to be even better, and they mentioned Metroid Prime 4 stuff, and there might be like assets related to an announcement that would get delivered to Nintendo in May. And that's all I know, and that gives me a little bit more confidence, not a ton more. I still don't know what's going to happen, but Metroid Prime 4 coming out this year, you know, I mean, just that direct. I don't know. You were sick, Jan. I don't know. Do you get a chance to see what was happening in the direct?
Yeah, and most of that seemed fine to me.
Right, and it's for the next 6 months, right? It's like for not even most of those games are in the next few weeks. So it's like very much the first half of the year, which does leave open Nintendo to come in this summer, early or late spring with some other new direct and announce a bunch of stuff that carries them through the holiday. Obviously, the Pokemon game is probably going to be the biggest thing that they're going to rely on. Even if Metroid Prime 4 does come out, the Pokemon game is going to sell 5 times more than that. So that's what they're going to primarily rely on. And then early next year, it'll be all Switch 2 all the time. Which I know we were just saying that about how that was going to be going in the second half of this year was going to be all Switch 2 all the time. Well, they just moved it down a little bit. Nintendo, you know, they definitely have games that are finished that they're holding on to. I don't know how many they have. But like that Fire Emblem game, these things could form a direct that we would get for the second half of the year. And if they have those, that's not going to look too unlike some of the more down years of the Switch from the past. And I think they'll be completely fine.
Yeah, I'm looking again at the list of games that were featured in the, you know, I think we all need to remind folks it's the partner direct.
Yep.
You know, I feel like Epic Mickey is a bigger deal than people are leading themselves to believe.
We got a little bit of news about that too, about like what the state of that is. So I'm excited to talk about that. Yeah.
And I don't know why I have a renewed interest in perhaps checking out Grounded, even though I know it's not going to run as well on the Switch.
I'll play Grounded with you, buddy, anytime.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, the compadres get shrunk down. Oh, let's do it.
Honestly, there was a bunch of compadres compatible games in there. That endless Ocean with its 30-player multiplayer, and Super Monkey Ball with its 16-player online multiplayer. Like, let's go.
The other thing that I'm very excited for in the Horizon, Grubb, is just yet another stupid long JRPG. I'm assuming. Unicorn Overlord.
Yeah, I did just download that demo, and I was about to start it, and then I was like, I got to keep playing Yakuza. But yeah, that game just looks fantastic. Vanillaware always has great art. So, are you going to check out that demo, or are you like already all on board, and you're like, I'll just wait for the game?
Already all on board.
Cool.
Got my peepers peeping, waiting for stuff. But even like the smaller stuff, like a Suika multiplayer expansion. Yeah. Why? Okay, sure.
That's kind of weird, but I'm down. Yeah.
And I think you're 100% right that Nintendo has like a couple more tricks in their back pocket. Yes. Also, I think we're being very dismissive that perhaps maybe Princess Peach Showtime winds up being a pretty solid, good to decent to good game.
I bet it's going to be a very good family game, and the kind of game where a lot of people will be like, you know what, there's some fun here for me even as an adult. I think it's going to be one of those that it's able to scale across the ages. I mean, we talk about the games in the back pocket, the like, what is the point of having all of these games finished and waiting there if it doesn't enable them to do something like move the Switch 2 release date when they want to? That's half the reason that they must be doing that this entire time is like, hey, we constantly keep about 3, 4, 5 games. Again, I don't know the number, ready to go. And one reason I always speculated is that just makes it so they don't have to have like 5 different marketing teams and 5 different QA teams. They can have a couple, and they can just work on a couple of those games at a time. And so there's a little bit of a queue, and so it saves some costs on that side. And then the benefit of that is now you have a bunch of these games ready to go if something bad were to happen, or if you have a rainy day with the launch of a new system and you want to kick that down the road. I mean, this is empowering them to make that decision. And that's why it's like, people are assuming like, okay, Metroid Prime 4, getting announced sometime after May. Well, that would have been after we were expecting to hear about the Switch 2, because the Switch 2 announcement was supposed to happen here pretty soon. So obviously Metroid Prime 4 must have been part of that. And it's like, I mean, not necessarily. Nintendo can be pretty flexible on this stuff, I think, more flexible than we're thinking. Doesn't mean it's one way or the other for sure. I still don't know.
I know that Spoon Heaven was like teased or last shown at like an Xbox.
That's correct.
Showcase thing, but I don't know. I feel like for whatever reason, I associate Spoon Heaven with the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. And I feel like, not that Nintendo is a direct part in holding that game back or doing anything with the game, but I feel like that is another title that can move the Switch or breathe another couple months into it.
If I were that studio, I don't think it would be a terrible idea to hold things off until a Switch 2 launch. Because if you are a game that's associated with the Switch 2 launch and it's like, well, this is the go-to indie game, I think there's a lot of evidence that could be very beneficial to your sales long term. Especially if you already have like a deal to be in Game Pass with Microsoft, so you have guaranteed money there. Now, there's a lot of Switches in the world, and maybe it probably obviously still comes out and runs on Switch. So it's like it's still going to have access to all that install base, but being associated with the Switch 2 will give you a certain amount of shine that I think a studio that has the potential to like get Nintendo's attention and say, hey, can we be included in some of the marketing material? That's a studio can do that and it's a game that Nintendo would be absolutely. We will, like, we know you have a thing with Microsoft, but like we could still feature you like in the eShop and stuff like that, and they might be ready to do that. I know people don't want to hear that because that's not until March of next year at the earliest, but it seems possible.
And I'm also thinking about ports that would work very well into the Switch. And I can't immediately think of any ports like off the top of my head, but like there is still a sizable gaming audience that doesn't have a PS5, doesn't have an Xbox, maybe has a PC, but like the Switch is their only entryway into this current gen of consoles.
I mean, I think the obvious port for a Switch 2 launch is a game called The Elden Ring. And I think that's
crazy for this one, Grubb.
Yeah. I think that one could happen too. I mean, just Nintendo pays enough attention to From Software. I think they'd be like, could we make that happen? I don't know. Nintendo doesn't really try to force these things.
I mean, there have been a decent amount of cloud games on the Switch that have done well.
I played
enough.
Final Fantasy VII on there. That's right. Yeah.
So it isn't out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. No. Yeah, for sure. Okay. You know what? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got a bunch more headlines to get to. We'll get to all of them right after this. All right, we are back, and From Software, speaking of, From Software's boss is very happy to see fans calling for a Bloodborne remake. That headline comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. From Software boss Hidetaka Miyazaki has said he's very happy to see fans calling for a Bloodborne remake. Fans have long called for the studio to revisit the critically acclaimed and influential action RPG, which was directed by Miyazaki and published by Sony for PS4 in 2015. Miyazaki, who also directed Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, and most recently Elden Ring, was asked about a potential Bloodborne remake during an interview with Eurogamer. It is a title we hold very dear, and just as much as our fans, he said. It does make me very happy to see that there are still so many people passionate about it. Do you think he means that? Or do you think he's like, I'm really happy that every time I try to like use the bathroom at the airport, someone asks me about Bloodborne, because I bet that happens to him. Hey, he didn't really say much here, but even him just acknowledging Bloodborne has people excited. Could you read anything into that, Jan?
He is an incredibly cruel man.
Yeah, a little bit.
Why even talk about this? Why even do this? Why are you doing this to Tam?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, part of me almost feels like this is him trying to like keep things in perspective, that nothing is happening yet. I mean, he does go on to say, put simply, it makes me very happy to say it's a title with a lot of specific memories, both for me and the staff who worked on it. And when we see those passionate voices in the community, of course, it makes us feel thrilled. It makes us feel very fortunate to have that and to have those memories. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything's happening with Bloodborne yet. I wonder if it's even on the table. I wonder what it would take, because it does seem like it would have to, like, Sony and From having to get together and lined up on it, and maybe they're just struggling to make that happen. Obviously, for years now, From Software has been all hands aboard on Elden Ring, and now for the DLC, which we just found out. We had the report yesterday based on on the trailer reveal. It's Shadow of the Erdtree, $40 DLC. That new trailer came out. It looks like a big boy expansion, bigger than probably about any expansion we've ever had for a game before. So it's just like there's a lot to look forward to there. But you could just imagine, like, that's the kind of thing that's going to take all of the energy away from any of these other projects, let alone a project that would require a little bit more effort to get all these different parties aboard, like Bloodborne. So yeah, it's got to be frustrating for fans, because it seems like a no-brainer. And I guess I don't necessarily see why it wouldn't be, other than, I guess, the Bloodborne sold 7 million copies. That seems pretty good, though. I don't, and we know, I think if it came out again today, I bet it would sell another 7 million. So I don't really know, Jan.
Yeah, I think the appetite for From Software games wasn't quite as high as it is now. That I think there's probably a good chunk of folks that played Elden Ring, but it wound up being too big for them, and something more streamlined, something more linear, like a Bloodborne, maybe up more of those people's alley. I know that was my how I personally felt. I bounced off of Elden Ring just because there was too many things to do, Grubb, and hearing that there's a $40 expansion that's even bigger than anything I've expected before it to be, then that just seems more intimidating, Grubb, that I'm too scared.
There's a $250 a collector's edition for Shadow of the Erdtree. It comes with a statue and a code for the expansion. Does not come with the base game. And I'm like, that's weird. And then you think about it, it's like, that game sold very well. I suppose they're thinking, why put even more codes out there to download that, when you could just, like, assume that anyone looking at that would, of course, already own the base game. Just still a little bit weird. Phil Spencer wants Call of Duty games to hit Game Pass on day one. This is from Tim Harding at Destructoid. Now that the dust has mostly settled on Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the question remains over when those games will start to trickle onto Xbox Game Pass. Xbox head Phil Spencer seems to still want Call of Duty and other big titles on the Game Pass, but it remains to be seen when it could happen. In an interview with Stephen Totillo's GameFile, Spencer said the flagship franchise for Activision Blizzard is still coming to Game Pass. Our intent is for the full portfolio of games from ZeniMax, Activision Blizzard, and the Xbox Game Studios to be on Game Pass day one. This is like, clearly I think we knew eventually one day a Call of Duty, a new one, would be on Game Pass day one. He seems to be implying that there's a potential for very soon for this to happen. I don't know if it's this year. If PlayStation still has the co-marketing deal, which I think they do through this one, that might be difficult to make happen, but maybe Sony's like, hey, we are willing to cool on that if you throw us a little bit of extra money. Maybe Microsoft would take that. I think Sony these days would be like, continue to be bitter and fight Microsoft at every turn, or take some of their cash. These days, I think that's a PlayStation that would take the money. So maybe this could happen with the next Call of Duty. I don't know. What do you think, Jan?
Is this only applying to console Game Pass, Grubb, or do you believe it also includes PC Game Pass?
Well, I think the game, like, once it's on Game Pass, I think it would be on all of Game Pass.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Honestly, could be on PC Game Pass before it hits console Game Pass. Maybe that's a little bit easier for PlayStation to swallow, and they would be fine with that.
I think if the COD Bros did the math, I think this would be the more advantageous thing to do. That being said, I feel like getting the COD Bros, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way at all, folks out there. You know who you are.
Jeff Bacalar.
But getting them to move to another console may be more difficult. I think just the move at all of having it available on Game Pass for a cheaper price technically, or at least a cheaper entry, may be enough to move people over to Game Pass, but not in the droves that Phil is probably hoping for.
Probably not. Yeah, that's and I think Microsoft knows that, understands that this is a a thing that moves things slowly, and then maybe it creates an opportunity when people are like looking at the next generation and they're like, well, I'll just get the Xbox. Call of Duty is what I'm playing. I'll get it there. Or maybe not. I mean, there's a strong possibility that people could just continue playing where their friends are. That seems to be the strongest gravitational pull for a lot of these things. So people might just ignore Game Pass because it doesn't fit in with the social way in which they engage in these games. Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, will be released in March. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, will be released March 13th, 2024. It has been announced. The second installment in Digital Eclipse's Gold Master series, which presents iconic games in an interactive documentary format, will be released digitally for PC, PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Llamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, tells the story of influential British game designer's career in the 20th century via a virtual museum of design documents, playable games, and all new video features. Similar to its previous releases, Atari 50 and the making of Karateka, Digital Eclipse will be using its interactive timeline feature, which lets players progress through Minter's story in chronological order. They said after the making of Karateka that they were going to get some of these out more quickly than you would expect. Here is one already. This is another really cool one. Jeff Minter, of course, probably best known for the Tempest series. Tempest 2000 has continued making games like that forever. I played Space Llamas. Was that the one that was on Xbox Live Arcade? Yeah. And he just does his own thing. He's a very interesting fellow. Apparently, he literally raises llamas on a farm at his house. And I am very interested to see the stories about how he got into game development, his relationships with like Atari and all these other companies. I hope they tell the story of that game that he made, I think for the Vita or the PSP, that had some like issues with publishers, and like they had to like change the name, and it went back and forth. There was a lot of drama around it. I want to learn about all of that, and I want to learn about it in the way that Digital Eclipse does the storytelling in this digital interactive timeline, which has been fantastic so far. So very excited about this, Jan.
If anyone were to handle anyone's legacy through video games and through a digital interactive format, I trust this team 100%.
Yep.
I also wish I was as interesting as Jeff Minter because Jesus Christ, I want to see what he sees.
Yep, for real.
I remember Jeff Gersman brought Moose Life to UPF. And Jesus Christ, I had to look away because I thought I was going to vomit.
That's the kind of game he makes, and it's great.
Yeah,
TXK is the game I was thinking of, Marino, and Space Draft, not Space Llama. It's Space Draft from Llamasoft. You can see how I got confused there. I'm excited about this. I mean, Digital Eclipse finding this space and recognizing that there's a hunger for this stuff, even if it's like, I know a lot of people are like, I've never heard of Karateka. And I think some people would be like, I don't know who Jeff Minter is. It's like, okay, that's actually no reason not to check this stuff out. The whole point is to learn about this stuff. But them doing these things and continuing to build up momentum means if they're successful, they will be able to get to the things that you do care about. Just keep supporting this team, show up for them, and I bet they'll get to it. So I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I can't wait to check this out. I love the making of Karateka. Atari 50 was great. I hope they are able to continue to do this forever because it's important work and it rules. And I as much as like it's great to see like documentaries on YouTube and stuff, putting these things in a video game, something about that makes it feel more special. But they're also able to like charge a premium for it, which probably makes it financially more feasible as well.
Yeah, I wish more games had like a director's commentary thing, like the Half-Life 2, because that was really, really neat. I know that's probably super intensive to do, but having some type of museum mode, I dig the crap out of it.
Yep. I mean, if if new games started coming with the Gold Master like second disc, like as part of their collector's edition or whatever, that would be awesome. I think that would be great. Just like have this team work with your team alongside their development and tell the history of like what they've made before and what this process was like, and create like little mini games of like the prototypes that you could play. I'm like, I get chills thinking about that, Jan. I hope we get to that point where that is the accepted way of adding on value to selling us games in the future, because this is the right thing to do.
Two people immediately spring to mind. One, of course, Kojima. I just want to hear what's going on in that man's brain sometimes, just like a little glimpse. But also, I want to hear Tetsuya Nomura's design thoughts on a couple things, just across his wide breadth of games.
Just obsessed with big shoes, man. That's what it's all about. Just really, really big shoes. Epic Mickey Rebrushed features updated controls and new abilities. This is from My Nintendo News. And this is something we were speculating about, wondering if they would make some changes to like the fundamentals of the game and add anything new. Seems like they're doing at least a little bit of that. Epic Mickey Rebrushed was one of the surprise additions to yesterday's Partner Direct. Today, more information about Epic Mickey Rebrushed was revealed on the Steam store. Players can expect a new and updated control scheme, which will hopefully also include the camera. The remake also brings with it new movement skills and abilities for Mickey to use as he navigates the various environments, such as dash, ground pound, and sprinting. Epic Mickey Rebrushed is scheduled to release later this year. Originally envisioned by Warren Spector and reimagined by Purple Lamp, Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed employs state-of-the-art visuals and improved controls to breathe new life into a beloved classic. Experience new movement skills for Mickey, such as the aforementioned dash, ground pound, and sprinting. The game's compelling story makes it an unforgettable adventure for longtime fans and newcomers alike. Join Mickey Mouse and unravel the mysteries of the wasteland in this homage to Disney's legacy. Does that sound good to you, Jan? Are you mentioned Epic Mickey earlier, saying it was a big deal. Are you someone that enjoyed Epic Mickey when it came out, or is this just exciting to you? Like, oh, I'm finally going to get a chance to play that. And do these improvements sound the promising?
Quality of life improvements, always welcome, Grubb. This was a title that I never got to check out, just because I believe it was on the Wii originally, right?
Yes, it was a Wii game. Wii game from Warren Spector, yep.
Wii game from Warren Spector. That's a fun Mad Libs.
Yes, it is.
But that was something I just never had the opportunity to check out. However, though, Grubb, as a Disney adult adjacent person, I cannot tell you the chokehold that Oswald the Rabbit had on all of Disneyland, specifically California Adventure. So many people went from not knowing who the hell Oswald the Rabbit was to those specific ears being one of the top selling pairs across the park. To this day, Grubb, like, people know of Oswald the Rabbit because of this game, whether or not they've played it.
That's why I know about it. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And I think that staying power or that influence says something that for this to come back around is going to be a major deal.
Real quick, because people are like, wait, who's Oswald the Rabbit? To give people like the lowdown of what Oswald is and like how it figures into the story of Epic Mickey, as far as we're aware.
Oswald, as far as I'm aware, and this is my tangential knowledge through osmosis, is Oswald the Rabbit was supposed to be the poster child, the mascot for Disney, but got replaced because of Mickey's overwhelming popularity.
Right, and it was like Oswald was Walt Disney's like first creation, quotes, first creation, yeah.
But like, there are Disney, it feels weird to say Disney historians, but that's what Mike Minotti is.
Yes, it is.
And Disney historians out there that like love this type of crap, and like Disney adults, recovering Disney adults that will dive all the way back in, Grubb.
Yep.
And those people, they already have Switches.
And this game is all about Oswald like basically trying to like reclaim his spot. And
he's like Bowser Jr. kind of.
Yeah, a little bit of Bowser Jr.-ness in there, definitely.
Yeah.
Thinks Peach is his mom. It's weird. Anytime you are doing a remaster, like you said, those quality of life improvements, like if you could do what Metroid Prime got in terms of, hey, here's real first person controls and stuff like that, and now here's Epic Mickey with camera controls, it's like, oh, okay, well, that completely changes the way I feel about this game. So I think that there's a lot of potential there for that to make this game much improved in many people's eyes.
Also, he's a messed up looking rabbit.
He's a messed up looking freak, that little rabbit. Helldivers 2's latest update kicks idle players back to the title screen. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. The latest Helldivers 2 update has introduced a much requested feature designed to stop idle players from hogging server space. The game's unexpected success has contributed to its frequently reaching server capacity, which in turn has led to some players staying logged in when not playing in order to avoid waiting the next time they want to play. Excuse me. That means like people will log in with their friends, play, and then go to work and leave their PlayStation on and stay logged in to Helldivers 2 all day and then come back home and keep playing. And I was like, well, how does that work? Of course, they're going to get kicked for being idle. Apparently, that was not in the game. Now it is. They will get kicked. I hope it's not too aggressive. Nothing I hate more than like standing up to go to the kitchen and get some water and then go to the bathroom and then come back and find out I've been kicked. I hate that. But you know, if it's like 5-10 minutes, like that's completely fair at a certain point. So, hey, this game needs as much server capacity as it can get. So them doing this makes a lot of sense. Jane, have you been spending any more time with Helldivers 2?
It's been hard to get in, Grubb. Like the couple times I've attempted to just try and level up my diver and to fight for democracy, it's been a little bit difficult to log in. So I've kind of just bounced off, and I'm gonna let it cool off for a little bit. But I'm incredibly jazzed to see like the Steam concurrent numbers like steadily go up.
Yep. It's
and
amazing.
Just like good for this team.
Yep.
I hope that Sony just unloads the money hose on them and gives them the resources they need to just keep the game going, because I feel like the popularity, the price point is booming.
Yes.
Have you seen, Grubb, the TikToks of PlayStation Sony fans wanting their Xbox compatriots to join
it's beautiful. This game has solved the console wars. It's amazing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you just want people in there playing this game to help in the war against the automatons. We need help. Absolutely. I love that. It's been a really cool thing to see. There's a ton of TikTok trends based on this game, but that's one of the better ones.
I think we need more dumb games.
Yes.
I think this is the year of dumb games, but in a good way.
Yes. It's going to be a really dumb year, like in the news and all that stuff. We need the good dumb to come save us. And this is absolutely the good kind of dumb. The intersection between extremely well designed, extremely fun, and extremely dumb. And it's kind of like if you were to take it seriously and be weird about putting this on a list and be like, this is an exclusive that helps my console sell. It's like, dude, you sound dumber than the characters that are clearly supposed to sound dumb in this game. And so, I think it does a good job of just avoiding that.
Grubb, there are also so many people that are playing Helldivers and comparing it to Starship Troopers, of course, that don't understand the point of the movie or the game.
Yep, I know, boy. It really is torture. It's torture.
But hey, they'll revive me and use the right stratagem sometimes. So hey, you go be ignorant over there, buddy. I'll drop a supply when we need it.
Yep. Oh, it's rough stuff. Apparently it is 15 minutes. If you were AFK for 15 minutes, then you will get clicked. That is, I think, a fair amount of time. And it's, much better than infinite. Like being able to just stay in there for an infinite amount of time, that's way worse than 15 minutes. So pretty good. The concurrent number got up to 457,649 on Steam. That is a big number.
I love to see it.
I think
I love to see it.
More than GTA has ever had. GTA 5, I believe. Yeah.
Not that I have it out for GTA 5.
Yeah, be careful. Sony is currently testing PlayStation VR2 compatibility with PC. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Sony's confirmed that it's currently testing PSVR2 compatibility for the PC. The company aims to enable players to connect their PlayStation VR2 headsets to PCs later this year in order to access more games. We're pleased to share that we are currently testing the ability for PSVR2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety in addition to the PSVR2 titles available through PS5, it said on the PlayStation blog. We hope to make this support available in 2024, so stay tuned for more updates. The blog post also covered a number of PSVR2 game announcements, including the reveal of Rebellion's Zombies Army VR, which will be released later this year. Okay, a couple things here, Jan. One, this is cool that they're doing this. Yeah. Sony getting on board and doing this will solve many of the problems. So the big issue with this is the PSVR2 uses a USB-C connection, and like if you were to plug that into your PC, which USB-C port are you going to use? Because your video out through your GPU is not going through your motherboard, and that's going to be the thing that probably has a USB-C port. There are a couple of older GPUs that are still pretty powerful that have USB-C ports on them that would have worked, but that would probably require a little bit of finagling, and it would only work with that generation. It wouldn't work with our 4090s, Jan. So there's going to either need to be a dongle or some other weird solution, but probably a dongle. That's probably what they're going to end up doing here, so that you could plug it into DisplayPort or something on your PC. That's cool. I'm glad Sony is doing this. Do you read this the way I do, in that this is them saying we're probably not going to have a ton of new PSVR2 games, so you might as well go use this on your PC?
Yeah, I think it's neat of Sony to do that as like an easy layup for the early adopters of PSVR 2. A little bit expected from just how they've presented the headset. But Grab, I got to tell you, after the Apple Vision Pro came out, I'm kind of done with VR now.
Yeah, I am still very happy with my Quest, and that's where I was thinking the same thing, that I'm done caring about PSVR 2. Like, hey, if they would have got this working on the PC, I might have considered it. But after getting the Quest 3, I'm like, that's wireless. It looks really good. I connected to Steam VR already. It all just functions the way I want it to. It's kind of flawless. I'm good. I do not need to rush out and get a PSVR 2 to have like a really good VR experience. I already have one, and that's like not counting the Index I still have, which is also still very good. But I'm probably not going to use that either because the Quest 3 is just so much more convenient. But yeah, I mean, the Apple Vision Pro is also going to be a thing that like takes a lot of attention here away from this. And I mean, it's cool that they're doing this. I just don't think this moves the needle.
I don't think it does. I don't see people suddenly choosing to pick up a PSVR 2 just because they can now use it on their PCs, because there are other budget VR helmets that will get you there, instead of having to perhaps have to buy an additional dongle. And then if you're using it for your PS5, there's just not a lot there. Yeah, there's not like any exclusives that behoove me to want to pick up a PSVR 2 helmet.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's already pretty expensive. Like, what's it cost? Yeah, $550 for the base version. Yeah, I'm good. Even if it is like, it does have a very good screen in there, and it has the haptics and all that stuff, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
It's a very comfortable headset as well. It's very glasses friendly, but I just can't motivate myself to get one.
Yeah. All right. GPA game Ninja 5.0 is returning on Switch. This was not in the Direct. This is from Nintendo Everything. Just over 20 years after its initial debut for the Game Boy Advanced, Ninja 5.0 is returning with a new Switch release. Limited Run Games is involved and will be releasing it thanks to the Carbon engine. So, second mention today, shout out to MVG, who is responsible for the Carbon engine. Hudson Soft originally developed Ninja 5.0 for its 2003 launch. It stars Joe Osugi, a ninja who goes on a mission to put an end to a terrorist group tainted by the Mad Masks. This is like one of those hidden gems for the Game Boy Advance. It's a really, really good action game. Feels really good. Looks really cool. It's also very rare, and it's one of the more expensive Game Boy Advance games because they just did not make very many copies. So it's very cool that that's going to change now with this release on the Switch, and a lot more people will get a chance to play it. Of course, you know, we were talking about it, and Dan's like, oh, I don't know what that is. And then he booted up his Analog Pocket, and he already had it on there. So like him, you probably have a million ways to play this already. Feel free to do that. But if you want to buy an official version and have a copy of it on your shelf and all that stuff, Limited Run Games is going to have your back here, and that's pretty cool. Did you ever try Ninja 5.0, Jan?
Oh, yeah. I kick myself all the time for this being one of the GBA carts that I lost over the years. But Ninja 5.0, solid GBA game. I'm not going to, as a GBA connoisseur, Grubb, I'm not going to say it's in like my top 10. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will at least put it in their like top 15, though.
Yes, it's definitely one of the ones worth calling now. I think it gets mentioned a lot. Like before, a lot of the other ones were like, oh, this is like a weird 3D game that actually works on the Game Boy Advance. It's like, yeah, but those aren't necessarily great. Ninja 5.0 is great. It's a really fun game to play. Mm-hmm. EA is offering college athletes $600 to appear in new football games. This is from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. EA Sports is reviving its college football game series this year with EA Sports College Football 25, and now major new details about it have come to light. EA Sports confirmed to ESPN that it will offer athletes $600 for their name, image, and likeness to appear in the game. Now, I remember asking about this, like, because this was something where like we were speculating, wondering about, like, there are a lot of players. There's a lot of players in like a professional sports league, and there's significantly more in college sports. But like, how does it work in, you know, the MLB or NHL? Like when you end up in a game, do they offer each person like $10,000? That seems prohibitively expensive. Someone reached out to me and was like, no, they offer, I think that you like just part of your NHL PA like agreement, you get a couple $100 and your name's going to be in the game or something like that. So I guess this is in line with how this works. It just seems so weird because it's like, I would be real bummed if like one of these players wasn't in there. So it's like their value is worth quite a bit, probably significantly more than 600. But EA is like, well, there's 11,000 of you. We're gonna spend $6 million to get all of you. It's hard to spend that much more. It doesn't make sense to make the game anymore at a certain point. Now, of course, people could say no and demand more either individually or go take their name to another game and take their name, image, and likeness to try to make more that way. And I bet some of the biggest stars will end up trying to do exactly that. But in the meantime, if 600 seems insulting, you could just say no, and then they'll just put a generic name and number in there instead. I don't know. It's weird. Licensing for sports games continues to be a really weird thing to me, Jan.
Yeah, I initially scoffed when I read this headline earlier, but I guess they're getting something at least.
I mean, it is more than they would have gotten for like the 2014 game before, yes, where they've got $0 for sure, because it was against the rules.
And I don't know, any type of compensation for college athletes, I support, even if it's only $600. I don't know. It just feels really scummy because I always have felt some type of way over college ball of any, whether it's basketball, football, etc., because of
billion-dollar industries. Yeah,
billion-dollar industry that totally takes advantage of these youths and gives them a free ride to college. And sometimes they get injured and they can't really continue their collegiate athlete career and take that to the NFL or NBA. Right.
So they missed out on their chance to make any real money. The NIL rules have changed significantly. A lot of players make a lot of money now just doing like local ads and some national ads. Obviously, Olivia Dunn, that LSU gymnast, makes a ton of money, and she like tries to always bring in her teammates from the LSU gymnastic team to help get them some money and stuff like that. And that's kind of how it's been working. But no one has tried to make a league-wide, nationwide sports games since these college sports games have went away for the most part. And so everyone's been like, how is this going to work? It's like, okay, $600 per person. It's hard to make it make sense in my brain. And here we are looking at it, and it doesn't make a ton of sense still.
Here's what we do, Grubb. I could use an extra $600. I'm sure you could as well, right? Oh, yeah. I'm sure Dan would love an extra $600.
And I already got the body of a tight end, so let's get out there.
There we go. I have a pretty okay sprint for a second, and then I get really winded. We enroll into a D1
Giant Bomb University,
D3, right? And then we just make a little college football team, right? It's gonna be an adult school. I mean, all colleges are adult schools. And then, we just like, yo, yeah, you want to license the GBU team? Here you go. Give us the $600 each.
Looks good. I could use that 600 for sure.
I love the idea that there is someone that is on the bench their whole collegiate athlete career and gets a smooth 600 just for being there.
That's a good. I mean, the punters are going to be like, oh, sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
The punter's going to be great.
Yeah. Like, this is great. I just came here. I was playing Aussie rules football like 2 months ago, and they're like, we need a punter, and they brought me here, and now I got $600. Fuck yeah.
Sean, you can be quarterback. You seem like you'd be a good quarterback. You seem calm, cool, and collected. Yeah, we'll do that.
He would yell at us a lot if you were quarterback.
I mean, does he not already yell at us?
Okay, good point. Good, but you might as well be quarterback then. Yeah, I at the very least, I'm selfishly glad that they're making a college football game. I like college football, despite how fucking weird it is, which I fully admit it is very, very weird.
Oh, we should sell football jerseys that say GBU on it.
Yeah, let's. Oh my god, that would rule.
Oh my god, why don't we do that?
All right, let's get.
And then it's a deer. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, okay, good stuff. All right, I got done with the news. So what do I do next? I go to the poll, and I have the poll question over here. Let me get that up for everybody. I did ask what grade you would give to the Nintendo Direct, and I have there we go. And 6% gave it an A, 8% gave it an F. 11% gave it a D, 37% gave it a B, and then 38% gave it a C. So most people seem like, hey, that was fine or better. It was significantly more than half either, liked it or loved it. So I'm actually kind of happy to see that, where it's like, everyone seemed to understand what this was and seemed pretty happy with it. And then, 19% of people are like, that's bad. That's going to happen. Where if there's nothing in there for you, that's going to happen sometimes. So, 1 out of 5 people feeling that way is a completely reasonable number, in my opinion.
I felt bad about saying this about shareholders earlier, but now I'm just going to say it. They're dumb as fuck.
They're dumb as hell, man. They are. God, I'll never forget when it's like Pokemon Go came out and Nintendo's stock price started to go up and then immediately went down once all the investors learned, like, oh, Pokemon's the Pokemon company? It's not just Nintendo? Oh, okay. And so they bought all those shares and then sold all those shares in like a day because they didn't look into it before they spent all this money. And they're usually spending other people's money, which is just like, oh, cool. So you guys just don't even think before you act, huh? This is your whole job. This is your whole life. And this is how you treat the money? Fuck. Yeah, they're all idiots.
You guys influence the markets?
Every single one of them are complete fools. It's a joke. Okay. So, hey, most people seem to like that direct. I have a new poll question that we will get to here in a moment. But before we do that, Jan, what do we have happening on Giant Bomb? If you're aware, I guess you strolled in this morning.
I looked at the calendar this morning. There's a Bombcast Revengeance episode happening where the crew is going to focus on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I've gotten assurances from Sean that the crew will try and be spoiler-free as possible. Later today, voicemail dump truck as well. Game S Morning's popping off tomorrow. And then it looks like on the calendar, UPF is Helldivers once again.
We were thinking about maybe doing Super Mario Maker for the Wii U, since that's going to get shut down here pretty soon. So, so we might shift gears. Actually, we'll make a game time decision, everybody.
Oh, that sounds fun, though.
Yes.
Both sound fun.
Yes, they both.
I would also like folks to see Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yes, that, and I want to finish our Zet. So we'll find some time for everything, everybody.
Grubb. Yeah. What about we all play on the same seed of Balatro?
That's a really good idea. I honestly, Christian keeps yelling at me about competitive Balatro, and he has some ideas about that. So maybe I can hear him out, and maybe we could try something. Okay, yeah. Game time decision for UPF, everybody. But we'll have some fun stuff for sure. Either way. In the meantime, though, that new poll question that I mentioned is, are you going to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Yes, right away. Yes, probably later this year. I'll wait for it to come to PC, or no, it's not for me. Those are your 4 options. That'll be up on youtube.com/giantbomb under the community tab.
I don't know if there will be space for me on BCR, so I just wanted to... the man tried to silence me by cutting out my power real quick, Grubb.
Oh, no.
What I was going to say about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth... And folks at home, please do not let this detract you. But the freaks out there, please come closer to your screens. It is the best Kingdom Hearts game ever. This is it. This is what we've always wanted. This is what we've needed, folks. This is it. And it works. It works so well. The only thing missing from it is like Barrett going hyuk. But it is 100% there. It is what the Kingdom Hearts family needed. Because for whatever reason, when Nomura is just with his Disney bullshit, it doesn't work. But when it's just hit with Cloud and the crew, it's good. It's good. It works.
Don't let that detract you from playing it, though, everybody. As the man said. Although I totally
John
believe
says
you.
I'm right.
Yes, I think you might be right. All right, everybody. Let's get out of here. Jan, thank you so much for spending today talking about video games. I missed you, bud. Glad you're back.
Missed you too, big dog.
Till next time, everybody, you're the best audience in gaming. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. All right.